Welcome to the Great Man Within podcast. Every episode is designed to help you discover and live the great man within you. Gentlemen, I have an important question that I would urge you to consider deeply. Do you have buddies or do you have brothers? When you think about the male relationships you have in your life, do they qualify as buddies or do they qualify as brothers? And your answer to that question will have an impact not just on your present day life and your well-being and your growth, but for the rest of your life. The quality of these male relationships in your life and whether they are merely buddies or in fact brothers has an impact on every area of your life. And you know, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this particular topic today is because last weekend we ran the Great Man Mastermind Retreat. At the end of the weekend, we put a video camera out. We had some of the men speak into the camera, giving testimonials about the weekend. And one of the men in the group said, I have buddies, really close buddies that I've had relationships with in my life for decades. But the men in this group who I've only known for a year know things about me that none of my buddies do, have supported me in ways that none of my buddies could. I can trust the men in this group who I've known for less than a year, who I've met in person once, more than I can trust the buddies who have been in my life for decades. And this is not just a one-man phenomenon. This is the regular experience for men who do this inner work, who step forward into these spaces and reveal, put the armor down. We establish relationships with men where they become brothers in our lives. Men that you can count on. Men that you can be 100% of yourself with. Men whose hearts you can actually see, feel, and then trust. Men whose darkness has been revealed to you. Your darkness has been revealed to them. And as a result, these are men that you can go in the foxhole with for the rest of your life. Do you have relationships like that in your life? Or do you have drinking buddies or business buddies or golf buddies? Men that you can go maybe an inch or two deep with. But there's whole worlds inside of yourself that you've never revealed to them and worlds that they have kept shut off from you. You know, Mark Melvin said this last week before the immersion, the mastermind immersion even kicked off. He sat down, it was the anchors, the five of us sitting together at lunch. And he said something that has stuck with me and I've thought about it every day since then. He said, guys, I am just beaming from the inside out because I feel like a billionaire when it comes to my male relationships in life. And I was like, I feel the same way. I looked around at the table, just to the five of us, and I felt like a billionaire because of how rich my relationships are with Brian Stacy, with Keith Bracci, with Michael Young, with Mark Melvin, all guys that have been on this podcast. And if you're a member of our community, then these guys need no introduction. These are men that would drop everything in a moment's notice if I needed support. These are men who proactively push me in my life to ask, Dom, what do you need? Or Dom, I feel you holding back. I want more from you. These are men I call brothers that I know I will have a relationship with for the rest of my life. And we are just scratching the surface. And so I want to ask you 5 questions today about whether you have just buddies in your life, which are great. Fine. I have a lot of buddies in my life too. It's fantastic. But I'm here because I want deep, resounding, resonant relationships in my life for life. Because I have recognized over these last number of years as I've built a band of brothers that those relationships impact how I show up in my business, how I show up in my love life. I remember one of the men in my men's group, Mark Krasner, he said to me a number of years ago, and this was a real call forward moment. He said, Dominic, when I look at your life, you've got so many of these areas of your life that you've dialed in But the one area of your life where you drop your standard is with women. I've met the women that you've been dating, that you've been hooking up with, and I don't get it. There's something going on in your dating and love life that like you're not calling in the queens who are at your level. Like you're kind of playing around with princesses, like women who haven't grown up yet. Like what's going on with that? And he said it in the most loving of ways because he wanted me to wake me up. And that was a turning point, a trajectory changer for me in my life. I want men in my life who will do that for me, not guys who will bite their tongue because they're too afraid or because they think whatever, like we just don't have that rapport or they don't want to deal with the discomfort of my resistance. I want brothers in my life. And I want to ask you 5 questions about the quality of the relationships you have in your life. You can think about these questions. You can journal about these questions. Highly encourage the journaling, whether it's written form or just speaking into your voice memo app. And I'll hit these questions in a moment, but I think there's one more analogy I'd like to throw in here first. When I arrived in Austin, Texas last week to run this mastermind, the morning after my arrival, I looked on ESPN.com and I'd seen that my favorite baseball team, the Yankees, the pitcher for the Yankees, Corey Kluber, had just thrown a no-hitter the night before in Texas. They were playing the Texas Rangers. And when I watched the highlights of this no-hitter, it made me think about inner work and what we're doing here as a group of men supporting each other. The best part of a no-hitter in baseball is not the final out itself. It's the moment that happens right after that, when the pitcher is standing on the mound for that brief moment by himself, and then the entire team charges the mound and goes apeshit, celebrating that guy on the mound, right? The catcher runs up, and that's usually the first person who gets to him, and lifts the pitcher up in the air, and then the first baseman, the shortstop, and then all of the outfielders come running, and then all the men in the dugout storm the center of the field and celebrate this man. And I think about how analogous this is to inner work, because so many guys who are kind of lone wolfing their lives have beautiful moments of success in their lives that really no one else gets to celebrate. No one else gets to see. No one else has been a part of that journey. If you think about a baseball team though, right? There's guys who show up for spring training. They're working on each other. They're working in the preseason for months. They get a chance to see the pitcher get roughed up and have good outings and bad outings. They're on a journey together, up close and personal. And then that one moment in time where that pitcher has a day of excellence, right? A day of excellence etched into history where they all get to be a part of it. And guess what? Like in every no-hitter, there's a catcher who has to call a great game. The pitches, the fastballs, the curveballs, the changeups. There's someone in the field who had to make a spectacular play to preserve the no-hitter. There has to be a hitter on the team that hit the home run or knocked in the winning run that allowed for the win. Everyone was a part of that no-hitter, not just on that day, but in all the days leading up to it. And they all get to celebrate in the success of that one man's excellence on that day. That's how I see inner work. That's how I see these brothers coming together. So, do you have buddies or do you have brothers who are there to pick you up when you throw a shit game or to pick you up in the air and celebrate you when you throw that no-hitter? Like Mark Melvin said, man, I feel like a billionaire in terms of my relationships. And when I have my no-hitter, I've got a minimum of 20 guys in this one mastermind and then dozens of others in my men's groups, the second mastermind, the digital masterminds who can pick me up. No doubt. So let me ask you these 5 questions. Question number 1 about whether or not you have buddies or brothers. Do you feel freedom to be 100% of yourself, or do you mold yourself into what the group wants? Do you feel the freedom to be 100% of yourself, or do you mold yourself to the group? I have had friend groups all throughout my life. I had a fraternity that I was in college with. And yes, maybe I would have called these men brothers because that's how we refer to each other. But it was very clear that this group only wanted specific parts of me, right? Like they didn't want the weird parts of me. They didn't want the deep parts of me. They didn't want the insecurities. They didn't want the real parts of me. There was a very, very distinct groupthink. The type of humor that was allowed, right? The things that they valued. I remember just feeling like whenever it would be my turn to speak, there'd be like this fucking shot clock winding down. If I didn't get to the point, or if I didn't make it funny, or if it wasn't on a particular topic, they didn't want to fucking hear about it. They didn't want to hear about it. And if I stepped over that line, or if I took too long, I'd be ridiculed, or there'd be some joke that would be made, or maybe I would have a new nickname that would then follow me for years. And guess what? I was no better. I subscribed to the groupthink. I fell in line with the way that we did things, and I did the same thing to other guys. But do you, in your groups of men, feel the freedom to be 100% of yourself? Your idiosyncrasies, your weirdnesses. Can you be celebrated for that? Or do you have to mold yourself into what the group allows or disallows? Question number 2. Can you bring the deepest and darkest parts of you to the group and have them welcomed? Can you bring your deepest and darkest parts of you? The parts that are not just private, but secret, right? And the distinction between privacy and secrecy is privacy is about discernment. Secrecy is about shame, right? The thing that you hide. Because if you were to let someone into that part of your life, you fear that you will be judged, that you will be loved less, that you will be ostracized, that you will be pushed away. If you have a band of brothers, the men who are brothers in your life, they are there to welcome the deepest, darkest, grossest, weirdest, whatever label you want to place on it, parts of you, and they'll help you process through that. In our groups of men, guys, we have men who are processing things like infidelity, like sexual abuse, like problematic relationships with alcohol or drugs, right? These types of things that most other guys, lone wolf, bury, hide in secrecy. In our groups, they're welcomed, celebrated for the courage to bring those forth. Obviously, you know all about my sex addiction history. That's the type of stuff that most guys will spend their entire lives hiding from everyone else, hoping never to have it exposed. With brothers, they welcome that forward. They want those deepest, darkest parts of you so that you can then change your relationship with them to more empowered places of being. Question number 3. When you bring these men in your life a problem, do they listen or do they fire advice at you? Problem solve, fix, solution. When you bring them a problem in your life, do they actually listen and hear you and make you feel seen and heard and understood, or do they start machine gun firing advice at you? Now, this is something that we as men have been trained to do, right? Like if there's a problem, I'll solve it. Okay? And instead, what we're talking about is brothers have been trained to learn how to listen so that when you bring them a problem, they'll ask questions. They'll bring their curiosity. They'll bring their care. They'll help guide you deeper into understanding what it is that you're feeling, right? They're not there because they want to feel some sort of ego boost of, I just helped this guy solve his problem. That's about them, not about you. A real brother is there to help you feel seen, heard, and understood first. They prioritize your well-being before their ego need of being able to solve your problem, right? And feel like they're on a pedestal because of it. Now, of course, they may eventually help to solve your problem through the listening, through the curiosity, through the care, but they don't short circuit or circumvent that process. They're there to help you feel seen, heard, and understood first, because that in and of itself, that stuff in and of itself can solve the entire problem or at least half of it, right? So do you have buddies or do you have brothers, and the brothers are the ones who help you feel seen, heard, and understood when you bring them a problem? Question number 4. Do the men in your life know the most meaningful shit that's going on in your inner world? Do these men know the most meaningful shit that's going on in your inner world? Now, there might be something going on in your inner world right now, a deep insecurity or a deep anger towards your partner, your spouse. There could be a deep dissatisfaction with what's going on in your work life. Or maybe you are feeling so inspired, so creative. Maybe there's some passion that's burgeoning inside of you that you've never felt before. Maybe you're feeling the need to go on an adventure. Do the men in your life actually know about this stuff? Or is it just going on in your inner world and they wouldn't have the faintest clue? I look at the relationships that I have in my life that are buddies, that are great men. I love these guys, but don't know the depths of what's going on in my life. In any given moment, they would have no clue what I'm working on. No clue what I'm creating in my life. No clue what's going on in my romantic life. The brothers in my life know about all of it. Up to date, real time. Always. Why? Because we talk regularly. They touch base with me. When they've lost contact, they jump back in. They want to know the deep stuff. And we don't dance around we don't dance around the shit. We go deep fast. Do the men in your life know about the most meaningful shit in your inner world? Or are they oblivious to it? Part of that's on you, right? Part of that is on you, because if you're not revealing the stuff, how the fuck do you expect them to know? The other part of it's on them and the relationship you've built with them, for them to ask, for you to feel safe sharing that stuff with them, for you to want to share that stuff with them. Question number 5, and this is the last one. Do these men in your life call you forward to a higher standard? In our men's group that Brian and I are part of, that we meet every Monday night for the past 3 years, one of the standards for admission into our group, anytime we think about asking a new member to join, which is very rare, one of the key standards is this man going to call us forward in life? Meaning, is there something about this man that can allow me to step into a higher version of myself? The way we would talk about it in our world is, can this man bring me closer to my great man, right? The great man that's the highest potential version of who I am. And that example that I gave you earlier about Mark Krasner, stepping in and saying, dude, you drop standard in this one area of your life and it's with women. What's up with that? Take a look. And he's like, I'll help you take a look at it. You want to talk about it? He's not just some guy walking in and throwing a jab and then leaving me to deal with it on my own. It's a man who's calling me forward to say, look at this thing that you are blind to. And I'll go in the foxhole with you. And we'll step in, we'll dig in, and we'll take a look. Let's heal it, right? Let's get this in alignment with every other area that you've already built in terms of excellence and standard. In my book, On Purpose Leadership, I talk about how there's 3 types of people in your life, right? The first type of person in your life relates to the historical version of who you were, right? These are the people who kind of maybe call you the old nickname from years ago. Maybe these are your family members who treat you as you were when you were a child or who you were 10 years ago. These are the people kind of stuck in the past. They don't want you to grow or to evolve, not because they're malicious people, but because your growth is threatening to them. The second type of people in your life relate to the here and now version of you, right? This is the group of people who see you as you are today, your current job, your current marital status, your current income. Maybe they can see an incrementally different version of you, kind of some sort of growth, like the next job that you're capable of, or maybe the physical fitness that you're capable of in 90 days from now. And in my experience, most people are surrounded by 90 to 95% of people in their life relate to them as the here and now version of you. This third version of you relates to the highest version of you. The third type of person in your life relates to the highest version of you. These are the people who see your great man, who see the fullest potential of you, who call you forward to that higher standard, who call you out on your BS when you're showing up at a C and you're trying to pass it off as an A. They won't take that shit. Oftentimes, these people see a higher version of you than you can see yourself because you're so lost in the weeds. That was my relationship with women when Mark stepped in and said that thing to me, right? Do the men in your life call you forward? The buddies in your life kind of just preserve status quo. The brothers in your life will constantly nudge you, call you forward to the highest version of you. So, here are the 5 questions again that you can journal about, whether it's written form or audio form into your voice memo app. 5 questions to help you discern whether you have buddies in your life or brothers. Question number 1, do you feel the freedom to be 100% yourself, or do you have to mold yourself in order to fit into the group? Question number 2, can you bring these men the deepest and darkest parts of you? Question number 3, when you bring these men a problem, do they listen, or do they machine gun fire advice at you? Question number 4, do these men know the most meaningful shit that's going on in your inner world at any given point in time, or are they oblivious? And question number 5, do these men call you forward? Now, like I said, brothers, the relationships that you have in your life will impact every other area of your life. Because when you have a relationship of brothers, you feel bolder. You can take bigger risks. They're helping you to expose blind spots. You accelerate your growth and development at an exponential speed. Do you not think that that's going to have some sort of impact on your earning potential, on your network, on your ability to love, on your ability to go big, to go bold, to take better risks, to go on adventures in your life? Do you not think that you will feel seen and more confident and secure? Do you not think that you'll be able to unwind some of these limitations or compulsions or addictions or self-sabotaging behaviors that you've been carrying around for years? Buddies don't help you do that. They help you blow off steam. They help distract you, a temporary escape. Your brothers are the ones who help to transform your life. What kind of relationships do you want in your life? I certainly know the ones that I want. I like being a billionaire when it comes to brotherly relationships in my life now and for all the decades in the future. And if you want more brothers in your life, step closer to this community. Get involved. Join the Facebook group. Inquire about the Masterminds. Inquire about any upcoming retreats that we have. The way you do that, go to the show notes, click on the link to the Facebook group for men, click on the link that will allow you to email us, hello@dominicq.com, to inquire about getting involved in some of the masterminds or upcoming retreats. And if there's one thing that I know, I can never have too many brothers in my life, never have too many brothers in my life. And I know that someone, you perhaps, who's listening right now, could become a brother of mine. A brother of mine that I could walk this path with for the rest of my life, that you can help lift me up and call me to a higher standard in my life. And I could call you to a higher standard in yours. There is no separation between you and me other than your willingness to step forward, to do this work, to become a part of this community, to help lift others up. We can become brothers. And you can become a brother with all these other men that you've listened to on the podcast. This is an environment that's inclusive. And the only thing that stands in the way of you becoming a part of what we are building here is your willingness and commitment to step up and become the greatest version of yourself and to contribute to this community. So that's your invitation right now. If you want brothers in your life, step forward, make yourself seen. And I'll see you on the path.